We bring the truth up close and personal through police body cam footage, exciting car chases, road rage outbursts, disturbing and chilling discoveries. Nothing gets you closer to the scene than the camera placed right on the officer's uniform. This is Cams Don't Lie.
What does that badge say?
It says I'm an arson investigator. Would you like to read it, sir?
But you're wearing a badge like you are.
Well,
You ID'd yourself to the sheriff as an arson investigator.
I'm sorry, sir.
On February 8, 2019, along South Pine Street in Cabo, Arkansas, police arrested a law enforcement impersonator. Body cam footage will take us through the event, including the perspective of the impersonator himself. Here's what happened.
That radio?
Yes, sir.
They do.
Yes, sir.
Adam,
Yes, sir.
we're going to find out all that.
Okay.
Step out and step to the back here. You got your camera on, you better make sure it's recording. We are.
Okay.
We now cut to the imposter's body cam footage where we are shown that he is asked to exit the vehicle by the police officer. The officer is asking him if he has a set of handcuffs, to which he confesses that he has.
On you beside your pocket knife?
No, sir. No, sir.
You have a canine in there?
No, sir.
Is that our frequency you're listening to?
Yes, sir.
What's the phone? Boy, you may go.
The impersonator is even listening in on the police radio frequency. While not inherently illegal, it does raise concern given that he claims that he is a police officer himself.
On our radio running lights and sirens. You're not law enforcement, you understand that, right?
Yes. I don't have blue lights either.
You're right, you don't have blue lights, but you're driving crazy down the middle of the road.
Okay.
That's not an emergency.
The fake cop tells the real one that he is a private emergency officer, with his equipment and the fact that his vehicle has red and green flashing lights on, which is what is allowed for individuals outside law enforcement. However, the officer told him that he was not allowed to operate the vehicle at high speeds, going up to 90 miles an hour.
The thought.
You're on report, correct? Okay. So you're saying carrying handcuffs in your truck means that they won't break into your truck, so they won't break into it?
If you walked up to break that window and break in and you saw that, would you break in?
The officer inspects the impersonator's badge, which says Fire and Explosion Investigator, and then asks him if he has the certificates to prove his claim.
You're wearing a badge to serve papers that says that. I think you're trying to ID yourself and come off as a law enforcement officer.
No.
That's what it looks like to me. Why would you wear an arson investigator badge to serve civil papers?
The officer then reminds him of his Miranda rights.
During questioning, if you can't afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you free of charge before any questions are asked. Make a statement without consulting an attorney. Understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Where's the canine?
The impersonator also mentions that he has a canine unit back home, which is a German Shepherd and is a certified search and rescue dog.
I work for the RACES.
For what?
Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service. There we go.
Let me see your radio.
The suspect mentions that he works for RACES, or the Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Services. RACES is a federally recognized Department of Emergency Services that allows amateur individuals to assist in supporting state and local government emergencies. This means that he is allowed to use the radio to listen in on police chatter. The officer takes his radio and inspects it.
Matt Ellis, 501 762.
The officer also asks the impersonator for his ID, which proves his claims. He continues to inspect the suspect's radio while also asking him for his phone number.
Yes, sir. Bunch of dead bodies back there, man.
The officer continues to check on the suspect's radio, possibly looking at its previously used frequencies to know what conversations the suspect has been listening into. The police officer then checks the radio by transmitting a message from his own radio. This shows that the individual has indeed been listening to the police radio frequency. The officer calls on dispatch to further test the capabilities of the radio scanner that the impersonator has. The officer then returns the suspect's radio after the checks.
You hold on to this.
Right?
So you're running amber and green lights. Get through traffic.
Another police officer approaches the scene and assists with the investigation.
How many races? I can't remember his last name now.
You check the lights in the front truck, make sure they're not blue or red.
Well, he says he's a volunteer.
The other police officer also tells the suspect that he wasn't allowed to run lights and run at the speeds at which he drove, while they are allowed to do so for emergency purposes. At the time, there doesn't seem to be an emergency that necessitated the suspect's driving.
You mind if I open your door and activate the lights so your lights are color in front of your truck?
I'll be happy to do that for you, sir.
That's a bite stick for dogs?
That is a bite stick for dogs.
The suspect then demonstrates his lights to the police officers while also explaining to them the equipment he has on his truck.
Okay.
Are you a firefighter?
I'm certified firefighter too.
Are you
yes.
a firefighter? What agency?
I'm not.
What emergency was you running to?
We've been over
What
this.
emergency were you running to?
The officer asks him if he is a firefighter, and the suspect says that he is. The follow-up question was then to what emergency the suspect was driving towards that warranted his high speeds. The suspect was silent for a noticeable moment, then gave an answer that wasn't believable to the police.
What you have? The papers that you're going to serve right now?
I can hand
That's
them.
what I need to see.
Yes, sir.
Do you have insurance with you?
I do.
The police officer then asked again why the suspect was driving at a speed of 90 miles an hour.
That for?
Restraining order.
You serving a restraining order, which is not a.
Give up the kids, and there's
You
a whole
drive
bunch
90
of
miles
other
an
stuff.
hour down a turn lane, school's about to get out, you put everybody's...
One of the officers told him about the risks he exposed to innocent lives on the road he was speeding in. The suspect mentioned that he was speeding to a call about a restraining order. While it may be an emergency, considering he is a fire and explosion investigator, he might not be certified to handle the job, and the other police officers may have been thinking the same thing.
Yes, sir. It's a result of a divorce.
I'm not sure we're not going to tow his ride and have hold it as evidence.
Not me.
The officers are baffled at the papers the suspect gave. The impersonator gave them a divorce certificate, which isn't a restraining order, and doesn't seem relevant to the case. The fake cop's stand is shaky, and things are not going well for him.
What process company do you work for? What's the name of your company?
Cargill process.
Who do you work for? What are some of your clients? This is the first one.
Heck, can you go to jail? Running lights?
The police are thinking about the charges that may be filed against the suspect, with the most important one being criminal impersonation. The police then asked him about his revoked handgun license and why it was revoked. They inform him that if he doesn't answer the question, they will have to search him.
We're going to go down the other track. I'm trying to give you every opportunity to explain what you're doing here.
Now,
You put everybody at risk. We have to do 90 miles an hour in gray Dodge pickups too. To me, you're impersonating one of my deputy sheriffs. Makes it hard for us to do our job when you run around here doing this kind of stuff.
The suspect then tells the officers why it was revoked.
I made a mistake a long time ago.
And with the radio host.
So where does that radio come back to? Did you purchase it?
No, it belongs to Adam.
It belongs to Adam.
Yes, sir.
While the impersonator is covering the body cam footage, we can't see much. However, we can hear the police talking to the suspect about his situation.
Put your hands on the truck. Right there. Hand him the papers.
Okay.
Put your hands on the truck. Are you incorporated?
I am.
The police then order the suspect to put his hands on the roof of his truck. An officer then proceeds to search the suspect and continue to ask him questions about his employment and his alibi.
These are the first papers you're served.
Yes, sir.
Why is your handgun license revoked? You have your criminal history? I didn't run it.
From the body cam footage, we can see the amber and green lights that the suspect used to drive across the road. Reports tell us that the suspect was driving a black Dodge Ram at up to 90 miles an hour. The car also had a push bumper and a sticker that said "Caution, Working K9."
What did you think this was okay for? Police, and you can't be the police.
No.
That's what I think.
I'm not trying to be the police.
What are you trying to be then? Why are you running like this? No other paper server does that. My guy drives a marked unit. He does a full-time certified deputy that serves papers.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
The suspect's car looks like a police vehicle, complete with its model, a K9 unit sticker, a pair of emergency lights, a push bumper, and a pair of antennas. Add that to the fact that he was wearing a vest with a badge and was carrying a pair of handcuffs. It looks a lot to the authorities like he was parading around as a police officer.
Does Adam know that?
Nope.
They will.
Oh, he wants to take
Hey, who you talking to?
The police then informed the suspect that they would have to tow his vehicle and inspect its contents for other equipment that may worsen his case.
And we're going to inventory it.
Okay.
Because you got handcuffs, you got a badge, you got a body camera, you resemble law enforcement. Handcuffs is a theft deterrent, which doesn't make sense. You got felony charges on you, and you got a badge.
Reports also mentioned that the suspect was dressed in tan tactical pants and a black polo. His clothing was allegedly extremely similar to the uniform that the officers wear at the sheriff's office.
An hour, you're saying you're a civil process server. You're telling us that you were trying to get here because this says take kids and stuff.
Okay.
So the reason we're telling you also got it. Why do you have a radar in there?
The officer also asks him why he has a radar inside his car as a fire and explosion safety officer. Maybe it's to make sure that the fire and explosions are not speeding.
So you're under arrest.
Police then proceeded to take photographs of the suspect's vehicle and its interior to add evidence against him. He will be charged for impersonating a police officer and for speeding.
A dash cam of him doing 90 miles an hour with lights and sirens. David?
His equipment does not line up with the line of employment that he claims to have been working in. Add to the fact that he has a revoked handgun license and is possibly carrying a firearm, and he was considered a felon. This makes it highly unlikely that he could have been working in the service that he said he was in.
It's in case of natural disaster.
But
And I don't think it's cold enough to be a natural disaster.
But look at the badge too, Lieutenant.
I've seen it. Who you serving papers for?
So,
Where do you get the papers from?
These particular ones.
The police officer then informs him that he will have to get an attorney. The attorney will have to prove to the officers and the court that he was not impersonating a police officer. With all the evidence against him, that attorney's job is a daunting task to consider.
the The only thing you don't have is a gun. What's in the back of your truck here? What are those for? Are you a CPR? Where'd they come from? Where'd they come from?
The CPR store.
Are you a CPR instructor?
The police continue to look at his vehicle and interrogate the suspect. They noticed equipment that was used for instructing CPR and asked the suspect what they were for and where it came from. The suspect told the authorities that he got it at a CPR store. He also informs the police that he has a license to teach CPR somewhere.
What's the combination?
Get a search warrant for anything and everything that's not locked if he doesn't cooperate.
Our privacy policy, it's not locked. I was gonna say our policy says I can enter.
We may need to get a search warrant for his house.
You can be a.
A police officer finds a briefcase inside the suspect's vehicle. He takes it outside and informs the suspect that they are allowed to search it and asks for the combination. However, after seeing that it is unlocked, they open it up and investigate its contents.
Have you been pardoned?
Nope.
Back 346?
Nope.
Did that?
Down on what?
On your notary?
Yeah.
Reports claim that the suspect was working for a notary in civil services. He was heading to a school in order to follow up on his paper. However, they added that he couldn't have been working at a notary, considering he was a felon. He was also not pardoned for his crimes, so the officer says because of his revoked gun license.
When you applied for your notary, you filled out the questionnaire, right? What all questions do you remember being on there?
The police officers continues to search the suspect's vehicle. Reports claim that during an inventory of the truck conducted later, there were many items that resembled law enforcement equipment. In particular, there were the aforementioned handcuffs, an expendable baton and holder, a taser with a warning label that states it may cause death or serious physical injury, a seat organizer similar to law enforcement equipment, a flashlight, pepper spray, bear spray, a radio programmed to the law enforcement dispatch channel, and a portable breath test for determining blood alcohol content.
Just make sure you don't drive drunk. Just make sure he doesn't drive drunk.
It was earlier mentioned that the suspect works for ADAM, or the Arkansas Division of Emergency Management. He was heading to the school to serve a civil paper as part of his work as a civil process server. However, dispatch called in and informed the officers of his previous charges. With that, it could not have been possible because the suspect was convicted of aggravated assault in 2008. This means he is not allowed to serve civil process papers in the state of Arkansas.
I'm sorry?
Last fire you been to?
A couple of years ago. No.
So you're not associated with any fire department?
Nope.
Any search or rescue?
Reports claim that a follow-up on the suspect's state of employment was revealed to the authorities. It turns out that the suspect was only an amateur radio operator for the Emergency Management Division in Arkansas. Knowing of his crimes, the division requested law enforcement to seize his radio and take his ADAM identification card.
Just so happens I'm a dog guy.
Yeah. So, I love our dogs.
It just so happens I'm a dog guy.
Outstanding. We're going to get along well then.
No, we're not.
One of the officers was making the situation lighter by saying that he loves dogs too, like the suspect. The suspect then says that they will be getting along since they have similar interests. The officer immediately reacted and said that they would not be getting along because he is not a criminal.
I got a couple of pictures in here. Amateur radio. Yeah, go ahead. Why were you listening to our frequency?
I don't know.
After the arrest was made public, numerous reports came out from the public about his encounters. He was indeed parading around as a cop.
Her ex-husband.
What school were you going to?
The high school.
You said the high school. Well, and then you paused. I'm trained in interviewing techniques. Okay, you're lying. What school are you going to?
In the end, the suspect was charged with criminal impersonation, usage of prohibited weapons, speeding over the limit, and unauthorized use of emergency lights and sirens. After pleading guilty for his charges, he was sentenced to 1 year of probation and was fined $1,235. This has been Cams Don't Lie, bringing you the truth up close and personal. To keep yourself updated on the scene, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Cams Don't Lie, reporting out.